Howdy fixers. So today we're going after the timing belt on this 96, I think, 98, rav4, and the water pump on this is super bad. And we're also going to do all radiator, so I'm going to show you what to do. So now the tire's off, go ahead and get this. This is 19, and I'll pry this, and it should pop off. Okay, fixers. So over here on the side, you got a 14, and there's a 14 up there. My finger is, see it? Loosen those, get your belt off. And then, so we're gonna go ahead and we're just gonna get a puller on this. There's it's an 8x1. I think it might be like an 8x1 bolt that goes in here, 8x1.5. I'm gonna put my puller on here, pull the pulley off, and just leave the belt on, and then I'll deal with the alternator thing later. But here we go. So now that I got my pulley off, I'm going to go ahead and start taking my bolts out of my bottom cover here. There's a whole bunch of 10s. And you got to take the sensor out here, get this out of the way. And then you go ahead and you drop it back down, and you get the top cover off, and that should allow the bottom cover to come off. So now that I got the top cover up here, I got to take this power steering line out, get me a little more access to get my 10s out of my top cover. I've jacked up the engine a little bit with my jack here. It's on the oil pan. And so now I'm going to take these 12s and 13s off on my mount, and then I'll have more access to my cover. Okay, on our mount here, there's actually a hidden bolt that comes from the bottom. That you have to come up and get that with a long extension for like a 14, and it should come out. Okay, so now that I got the mount out of the way, so we went ahead and we took some of my bolts off from my top cover, and so we gotta get this mount bracket for the mount off, and it's 2 12s, or maybe three 13s, 2 13s or 3 13s, one of the two, but it's holding in place. You gotta get that off to get the top cover off. So you can see here that I marked my cam pulley with 2 marks on the top and on the side, so I know if it moves. The same goes on my crank pulley and on my vibration pulley, my vibration dampener pulley, and my oil pump pulley. Make sure that nothing moves since I had a whack when I put it back together. So I went ahead and I marked my belt. I didn't show that, but I marked the cam and double marked the crank. And then I'm taking off the water pump now, and I went ahead and I took off my tensioner pulley off first and held my cam in place. Okay, fixers. So I got my water pump off, and you can see where it's actually been wearing into it a little bit. So this is actually a pretty common problem. So it comes with a whole new housing. So I got my alternator out of the way, a little more room. Take this off. These are 2 10s, and then there's 2 10s to hold that water inlet pipe, and I think it's part of that pipe there too. There might be a O-ring there that should pop out. So the housing is out. There's a, like I said, there's a gasket here and it's flat now, so we gotta replace that. There's a gasket on the 2 nut thing there. Gotta replace that. So I'm gonna clean all this up a little bit, and we're gonna replace our thermostat while we're here. So this is what the new water pump looks like when it's installed. I used just a little bit of RTV for the thermostat and through all my gaskets just to make sure they're extra sealed. So I've got my pump, and then it came with the whole housing. And the only thing you have to worry about is these 2 bolts here, and you might have to actually push on your housing here with the pry bar in order to get it lined up correctly, because sometimes this pipe gets back here, gets bent, and that's what happened to me. And you can actually put this bolt right there, that's for your alternator bracket, and kind of keep it in place, and then you can push forward and, get your stuff started. But that's the only 2 bolts that you have to worry about if you're getting a whole new housing like I've got. So I've got my pulleys back into place, and I got my tensioner there, and it's got the spring, so that's how your spring goes on. And I've tensioned this a little bit. I've pushed it down as far as I can by myself, and I've tightened the 14 bolt, so that way when I put my belt on, I can try to tighten it. Put my belt on and then release the tension, and then just push on it just a little bit more for a little bit more tension. The pulley down here, I put that on, and I've just torqued it the spec. There should be a spec with your new time belt that you get. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on, and you want all the slack that you're going to put on your belt. You want all the slack to be on the tensioner side, because then it's going to pull up the slack. If you put all the slack on the opposite side, then there's a possibility that your belt will jump, and then you're going to mess up your engine. Because I don't know if this is an interference engine, but just treat every engine as an interference engine. You don't want to move it a whole bunch, because then you're going to bend valves and then issues. And if you have any issues with this and you feel like you can't, it's a little bit more, don't do it, because there's so many small variables that you can do and just ruin your engine when you're trying to save yourself $5. So if you don't feel comfortable doing it, don't do it. So next steps, I'm gonna kind of wrap my belt and I'll show what to do. I got my belt on there, really super easy, and I never explained this, but what I do is I make 2 marks on the belt and the pulley in order so you know where, if it's moved or not. And I've done that also on my oil pump just for fun, and down there on the crank there's 2 marks. Make sure nothing moves, so if something does move you can tell how far. So I've gone ahead and I've got my belt on there, and now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to loosen this, and it's going to spring. I might have to prime this a little bit. So this is how your belt's supposed to look. You know, just have some tension, play it like a bass string. Boom, boom, boom. So it should be okay. And then I'm put my covers back on. Howdy, fixers. So that is how you do the time belt on your 98 RAV4. Things to gather from this is you want to make sure that you mark everything. Mark the crank gear, mark the time gear, make 2 marks, make everything's marked 4 or 5 times so you know exactly if anything has moved. If you don't feel confident in this job, don't attempt it, because I don't know if this one's an interference engine, but more than likely it is. And if you get the timing belt off just a little bit, you can bend a valve and then you're out more money. This is just a general idea of how to take some stuff apart to inspect your belt, basically. Look at it. Not actually, there's probably some steps that I missed that you should probably look at a manual to better understand how to do this job, if you do decide to do it. But just make sure you know what you're doing. So thanks for watching, appreciate it. If you have any questions, just give me a comment down below. First time coming across my video, I just make how-to videos, informational videos, how to do things, and different tips and tricks and stuff like that. If you have any questions, comment down below, and I appreciate you watching, and thanks for watching.